Good morning, everyone. Can I hear good morning from anyone?
Good
Hello.
morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Okay, so today I'll just deal with this molecular basis of cancer, and if everyone can listen for this class, because in between I'll be telling what is important for your exam. From this chapter, what is needed for you to know from this chapter for your exam. So this forms this topic today. It forms one of the most important questions for your exam. Like the question will be, can you describe in brief about the molecular basis of cancer, or they will ask you the multi-step carcinogenesis. So these are the questions which will come to you in your exam. So this is one of the main question which can come from general pathology, and besides those which I've mentioned yesterday, like those differences between the benign and malignant tumors, then in your viva, the nomenclature, how do you name the benign tumors, how do you give the names to a malignant tumor, all those which I've mentioned yesterday are important. So with each and every step which I'm teaching you today, I'm going to tell you what things are needed for you to know. Okay, so you must be thinking that this molecular basis of cancer is so Greek and it's so difficult, but actually, I feel what you should do is you can go 2-3 times, then it'll become more clearer. All those RAS, those MYC, those BRCA, they are just names of the genes. You just have to muck up certain genes, but actually they are not so difficult to understand. So if you can go, I suggest that you go. If there's time, 2 to 3, 4 times, then only it will you will understand. So we'll start off this molecular basis of cancer. So if you ask, you will ask me or anybody, you'll ask yourself, how does cancer occur? How does cancer occur? Okay, so genetic damage which acquired through time lies at the heart of carcinogenesis. Genetic damage. Then you can ask again, what are the reasons for the genetic damage? We are born normal. You may think we are born normal. We are we are born normally and with no disease, and why should cancer occur? So the answer to this is usually the genetic damage acquired through time, multiple hits, multiple targets that have been targeted in our body, maybe through time it happens. And so it might be an environmental agent like chemicals, radiation, or viruses. Okay, so one question from here may come for your exam. Again, I keep on telling in between which is important for your exam. I will not repeat. So chemical carcinogenesis can come as a short note, radiation carcinogenesis can come as a short note, viral carcinogenesis can come at a short note, or maybe all three can come as a long question. So just remember, in between I will be telling these important questions. So chemical, radiation, and viral carcinogenesis can come as a short note. It's there in your book, you don't need to worry. So they'll just narrate to you what is involved in the chemical, radiation, virus, especially viral. Viral carcinogenesis we ask in the in the viva. Name some oncogenic virus. Name some chemicals which can cause cancer. Name the type of radiation which can cause cancer. All these we have dealt. I won't go so much into detail, but I'm telling you the important things that you need to know. Or sometimes it can be inherited in the germline. We have babies in pediatric ward who comes and they are all having already a congenital leukemia, maybe, or maybe a neuroblastoma or a Wilms tumor. So it can also be inherited, not necessarily acquired. So you just remember that genetic damage can happen both in the inherited in the germline, or maybe and appear in the congenital stage, or maybe acquired through time and it it is manifested in the adulthood. Okay, so just remember that it's simple, just it's basic. So you remember your cell cycle. If you remember your cell cycle, you remember there's a normal cell cycle. Normally cells are in this G0 stage. Okay. Then when it enters in the G1, then it goes through the S phase, synthesis, and G2 phase and mitosis, mitotic stage, and then cell division. This is a normal cell cycle. And in this cycle, what happens is that there are points here, like this restriction point, check for DNA damage, check for damage or unduplicated DNA damage. So it's like, when you go through Police Bazaar or you go through Polo, there's always some traffic police who checks whether you are going the right direction or not, or you are having your traffic lights, you are obeying the rules, the traffic lights, or is there a drunkard who's driving a car or something like that. So similarly, in a cell cycle, you have these checkpoints, and in these checkpoints, there are many genes involved, genes who are saying that, okay, this is a damaged cell, we will send it for apoptosis, okay, we will make it dead, because why? It is not a good cell, so it wouldn't go ahead into the cell cycle, it wouldn't be synthesized, it wouldn't be growing, it wouldn't be mitotically active, and there wouldn't be any cell division. So this is a normal cell cycle. It has checkpoints, it has genes that regulate it. It will not go into progression unless and until it is a good cell and it can survive, it can go forward for survival. So this is a normal cell cycle. Now what happens in neoplasia is that everything here is distorted. We'll see that. So the principal targets of genetic damage are these proto-oncogenes, tumor suppressor genes, then genes that regulate programmed cell deaths, genes involved in DNA repair. Now what happens is that, as I told you, that cancer occurs because of genetic damage. Now if you will ask me, madam, where is the genetic damage? Then I will tell you, the genetic damage will be in the normal genes, will be to the normal genes. And what are those normal genes? They are growth promoting proto-oncogenes. Proto-oncogenes are normal genes, normal growth promoting genes. And growth inhibiting tumor suppressor genes. These are the tumor suppressor genes which inhibit the cell cycle. If there is any defect, then the genes involved in DNA repair, remember that cell cycle, this DNA repair also, it helps for those DNA damaged cell, okay? And genes that regulate programmed cell death, okay? So if there is no apoptosis, there will be continuous cell growth and there will be multiplication, proliferation, resulting in a tumorous lesion. So collectively, the genes that are targeted are these 4 genes. Okay, just remember that. As I've said, you'll be asked in Viva, what is a proto-oncogene? A proto-oncogene is a normal gene that can undergo mutation to become an oncogene. An oncogene is a bad gene which will be autonomous. It has autonomous behavior. Okay. So oncogenes, they are mutant alleles of proto-oncogenes. Proto-oncogenes are the good genes, but when they become mutant, we call them oncogenes, and it has ability to grow, to promote autonomous cell growth in cancer cells. So then there is a dominant oncogene which needs only the mutation of a single allele to be effective. A recessive oncogene means both the two normal alleles needs to be damaged for transformation to occur. For example, tumor suppressor gene. These are the definitions. These are definitions which you may be asked in Viva, which you may be asked as a short note or multiple choice questions, whatever. So these are you need to have a good concept. So what are tumor suppressor genes? There are 2 groups of tumor suppressor genes. They are known as promoters and caretakers. Promoters are the traditional tumor suppressor genes, whereas example retinoblastoma or P53 gene, where mutation of the gene leads to transformation by releasing the brakes on cellular proliferation. See, these RB and P53, they are tumor suppressor gene. They're supposed to be in the cell cycle to apply brakes. You remember, if there is a defect in the DNA defect in there's a damaged cell, they apply brakes. They say, no, this cell will not go forward for cell proliferation. But when these genes are defective, are mutated, the brakes are released and there is uncontrolled cellular proliferation. So what are the caretaker genes? These, they ensure the integrity of the genome, such as DNA repair. So the mutation of these caretaker genes, does not directly transform cells by affecting proliferation of apoptosis. Cells with mutation in caretaker genes are said to have developed a mutator phenotype. So DNA repair genes again is the same, only they affect cell proliferation or survival by influencing the ability of the organism to repair the non-lethal damage in other genes, including proto-oncogenes, tumor suppressor genes, and genes that regulate apoptosis. So these are the 4 genes that can be the target of genetic damage. So a disability in the DNA repair genes can predispose the cells to widespread mutations in the genome and thus to neoplastic transformation. So this is, in MBBS time, you have this, you came so prim and proper, and by the time you leave, it's almost like mutated, you become totally transformed, okay? So mostly you'll be transformed for the good, because you'll be accumulating so much knowledge, you'll be accumulating so much, knowledge and behavior, okay? So let's hope that you'll be mutated for the good, for everyone's sake, okay? Now, so carcinogenesis is a multi-step process at both the phenotypic and genetic levels, resulting from the accumulation of multiple mutations. Over time, the tumors become more aggressive and acquire greater malignant potential, referred to as tumor progression. There is one question which you can get in exam: multi-step carcinogenesis. Multi-step carcinogenesis, it can be explained by the model in the colon cancer, in the development of colon cancer. It is a very beautiful, diagrammatic representation in Robbins. If you go to Robbins, there is a multi-step carcinogenesis. Now, please remember, there's a difference. If somebody asks the question on molecular carcinogenesis, there's a different answer. Multi-step carcinogenesis is a different answer. So you just look at the book. It's a beautiful diagrammatic representation of how the colon cancer developed from an adenoma carcinoma sequence, from a benign to malignant, due to transformation of the genes. There are 3 genes involved. There is APC gene, then the P53 gene, and one more gene. So 3 genes are involved in which you, from APC from adenoma to carcinoma. So that is one question again which can be asked in your exam. So when somebody says, you will hear this word on and off again, phenotype. Phenotype means growth, local invasion, mets, the characteristic of a tumor. Phenotype means the characteristic of a tumor, not at the genetic level, okay? Genotype is at the genetic level. Okay. The tumor progression at the molecular level, the tumor progression results from multiple mutations. So they accumulate independently in different cells, generating subclones with different characteristics. So as the mutations acquire, they generate different characteristics, different subclones with different characteristics. Some mutations may be lethal, okay? Then they are subjected to immune and non-immune selection pressures, okay? And the cells that are highly antigenic are destroyed by host defenses, whereas those with reduced, it's survival of the fittest, The best cells, are chosen. Those cells which beat the odds are chosen, which are adept at survival, growth, invasion, and metastasis. For tumor cells to grow, these cells which are selected, which grow autonomously, are the ones which are fit the category of survival of the fittest. So cells which are weak, doesn't have proper, they have reduced growth factor requirements and all, those will be positively selected, while those weak cells will be undergoing necrosis. So this is what happens in the carcinogenesis. So first you have a normal cell, then you have DNA damage. Now if your DNA repair is okay, then it will be normally converted to a normal cell again and nothing will happen. But if there is failure of DNA repair means your DNA repair genes are defective, then the mutations in the genome will happen in the somatic cells. There will be activation of growth promoting oncogenes, inactivation of tumor suppressor genes, and alteration of genes that regulate apoptosis. There will be unregulated cell proliferation, there will be decrease apoptosis, decreased cell death, the cells will proliferate, there will be clonal expansion, and under the influence of angiogenesis means the blood supply, everything will grow, and the escape from immunity, that is a tumor immunity. Tumor immunity, is another question that will come in your exam. Okay, how the tumor escapes from the immune cells, how they escape death. Usually, normally in our body, there are policemen, there are lymphocytes, there are macrophages, there are lots of, controllers that control the cells. But these tumor cells also have the ability to escape the immunity, our body immune response. So this also will come as a short notes or a long question, tumor immunity. So with the multiple hits, additional mutations, the tumor will keep on progression and a malignant neoplasm will happen with resulting invasion and metastasis. So if in exam you can remember a flow chart like this, it's always good to give a flow chart. Then you can explain, in 1 or 2 pages about this flow chart. It will create a good impression for your teachers. Okay, so if you can remember a flow chart like this, you will definitely get marks. Okay, a flow chart, a diagram in exam time, a diagrammatic representation, everything, if you can remember this, it'll be easier for you to remember and easier for you to reproduce, and you can explain this in theory again in 1 or 2 pages. So my advice is you remember a flow chart or algorithms. These algorithms are always good for your remembrance. So the carcinogenic agents inflict genetic damage, okay? And what are the genes that are commonly mutated? Your P53. P53 is a tumor suppressor gene. Then your CABL, this is affected only in certain leukemias, okay? Then each cancer gene has a specific function, dysregulation, then so certain fundamental changes in cell physiology together dictate the malignant phenotype. So what are the characteristics of the cells, of the neoplastic cells? Remember in exam when we say neoplastic cell means tumor cells. Okay, neoplasm may be benign or malignant. Okay, malignant is your cancer, malignant is your carcinoma, malignant means sarcomas. All the bad things goes into malignant. But when we say neoplasm, most of you make a mistake. When we say neoplasm, you think it's carcinoma. But when we say neoplasm means either it can be a benign or it can be a malignant. So the changes in the cells. What are the changes in the neoplastic cells? They have self-sufficiency. They don't need growth signals. They don't need. Okay, they can produce themselves the growth signals for their own growth. Okay, self-sufficiency, insensitivity to growth inhibitory signals. Now you remember there are growth inhibitory signals in the cell cycle. They are known as CDK inhibitors. They will not be responsive to those inhibitors. Then there's evasion of apoptosis. They will not respond to your genes, apoptotic genes or apoptotic signals. Okay, they will survive by themselves. Okay, they have limitless replicative potential. They can overcome cellular senescence and they avoid the mitotic catastrophe. They have development of sustain. They give their own growth factors to sustain themselves. Like angiogenesis. See, for any tumor to grow, you need blood supply, right? You need blood supply. You need nutrition. Okay, so even for angiogenesis, also they can even produce their own signals to promote angiogenesis. They can invade and metastasize. They can go anywhere they want. They can go. They have all their Ferraris. They have all their Verna, their Tata, whatever. They'll go wherever they want. They can invade and metastasize anywhere. Okay, and they have the genomic instability resulting from defects in DNA repair. But they have all the mutations. They have all the defects. Whatever you can think of, it's there. Okay, so this which is not normally present in normal cells. Okay, so from top to bottom, this is a characteristic which is normally normal cells will not have these characteristics. Okay, normal cells, they follow a norm, they follow protocol, but these neoplastic cells don't follow protocol. So no social distancing, no mask, nothing. They'll do whatever they like and they'll end up, we don't know what it will be their thing. In terms of corona, we can correlate in that way. Okay, so they do whatever they like. They don't listen to the government. So these are the 6 hallmarks of cancer: evading apoptosis, self-sufficiency, insensitivity to anti-growth, tissue invasion, limitless replicative, sustained angiogenesis. These are the 6 hallmarks of cancer. Okay, this is just to break your concentration. Okay, see, this is a normal cell cycle. Again, I'm reminding you about the normal cell cycle. There's your G0, G1, G2, synthesis, mitosis, and these are the genes that involve, these cyclins. What they do is they need this cyclin-dependent kinase, CDK. Cyclin, they need the CDK. What happens is they work together in tandem to control the cell cycle, to make the cell cycle progress. Cyclin and CDK, you remember that? Cyclin and CDK, they work in tandem to promote the cell cycle. The cell cycle to go from G0 to G1, G2, S, M, whatever. And there are inhibitors also, because just imagine if the whole cell cycle keeps on rotating, keeps on continuously, and there is no inhibitor, from beginning we will be having a tumorous growth. So there should be inhibitors, there should be promoters. So your cyclin and CDK are your promoters and your inhibitors are there also. So P21, P27, P57, all these are your inhibitors. So normally you should have this. There should be a homeostasis wherever possible. Regulators and inhibitors. So self-sufficiency in growth signals, I've told you. Okay, they can make their own growth signals. They can respond to their own growth signals. So okay, so self-sufficiency. So they are characterized oncogenes. They make their own oncoproteins. They are devoid of important regulatory elements. Okay. That is, the oncoprotein product transfer does not depend on, they don't depend on growth factors or external signals. Okay, so example are your stimulus independent synthesis of growth factors, GBM, PDGF, overexpression or mutation of growth factors, example HER2/neu in breast carcinoma, EGFR in lung. Okay, mutations in genes that encode signal transducing RAS, ABL. I know it is too much for you, but the thing is that when you keep on reading, these are nothing. These are, the basics which you should know. There are so many genes involved, but these are the ones which you have to remember in up till your 5th semester. HER2/neu in breast, EGFR in lung, because these we do regularly for the diagnosis of lung carcinoma and breast carcinoma. You need these for the diagnosis. Okay. Mutations in genes, RAS, ABL, mutations affecting genes that regulate transcription of DNA, MYC, and coprotein overexpression, mutations dysregulating cyclins and cyclin-dependent, as I've said, okay? So mutations affecting genes that regulate nuclear transcription of DNA, okay? So just for reminding you, normally what happens is that this is a cell membrane, and here you have the growth factor receptors, and there is a growth factor which attached to the growth factor receptors. It activates this inactive RAS, and this RAS, what happened is involved in the activation of the MAP kinase pathway, which results in the production of proteins, which is necessary for the production of those cyclins and cyclin-dependent kinase, and those cyclins are needed for the cell cycle. So normally this is what happened, okay? But in case of even the activation of transcription, also for the evolution of MYC protein, and which is needed for cell growth, cell survival, okay, and cell proliferation. Now MYC and RAS is very much needed for the continuation of the cell cycle and the cell progression. But what happens is when these RAS are mutated, when these MYC are mutated, you'll get an uncontrolled proliferation, uncontrolled activation of these kinase pathway, and there will not be an inactivation of this RAS, so resulting in cancer, that is resulting in an continuous proliferation or continuous proliferation of neoplastic cells. So that was the one we missed, that slide. So we were here. So you just remember that these are the genes that are used by cancer cells to acquire cell sufficiency in growth signals. So mutations in gene that encode signal transducing protein like RAS, that was the RAS which I told you. Okay, so RAS is the most commonly mutated proto-oncogene. ABL is also a proto-oncogene which has tyrosine kinase activity. Okay, then what happened is that in translocation 922, this is a common question which will be asked in your exam. It is this translocation 922 which involves BCR-ABL fusion gene, results in a BCR-ABL is usually in a chronic myeloid leukemia. Okay, this is the genetic damage that you see in CML, which will be asked even in the Viva, which will be asked in your MCQs. Okay, so and they will ask you, can you name the genetic defect in chronic myeloid leukemia? Then you can say translocation 922 resulting in a BCR-ABL fusion gene. Okay, so let's see. There is, yes, this is the one. So this is a normal chromosome 922. This is a normal chromosome 22. ABL gets almost removed from here, and it joins in this 22 to form the BCR, this red color, and the ABL. So this is the change chromosome 22 resulting in a BCR-ABL. So they call it translocation 922 resulting in a BCR-ABL fusion gene. This you should never forget for the rest of your medical career. Okay, this because why you have a treatment that if this is positive, if you do a genetic test, you can do by FISH, fluorescent in situ hybridization. If you do a genetic test, you can treat, if this is positive, you treat it with a drug known as imatinib mesylate. Okay, imatinib mesylate. So this is the drug which is used for BCR-ABL fusion gene, which is seen in chronic myeloid leukemia. So then there are mutations affecting genes that regulate nuclear transcription of DNA. Then these are the MYC gene. You'll keep on hearing these. Please go through. Then mutations dysregulating cyclins and cyclin-dependent kinase. And then Okay, so there is a lot of genes involved. If I like this dysregulation of the MYC gene result from a translocation 814 translocation in Burkitt lymphoma, then MYC is also amplified in breast, colon, lung cancer. So apart from this, what I want to say, the story here about today's class is, number one, molecular carcinogenesis of cancer is very important for an exam. Okay, first what you do is you read about the cell cycle, you read how the signal transduction, the transcription happens in the cell, then only you go to the molecular carcinogenesis, then you'll understand all the genes that are involved in the molecular carcinogenesis. Then another thing I want to impress upon today is that multi-step carcinogenesis, you can go to the adenoma carcinoma sequence, which is for the colon cancer, read that part. Okay, then the next one you have to remember is, please remember certain translocation like the translocation 922 in CML and this translocation 814 in Burkitt's lymphoma. Okay, then you please read the definitions, what are oncogenes, what are proto-oncogenes, okay, and name some oncogenes. Then you have to know about viral carcinogenesis for your exam point of view, viral radiation and chemical carcinogenesis. Then I have list here some of the things that you have to read by yourself. Okay, for neoplasia up to today I will finish, but the thing is that you have to do by your own reading also. So you please go to, you read tumor immunity, it's a commonly asked question, tumor immunity. Please read laboratory diagnosis of cancer. Okay, if I want to impress upon you that laboratory diagnosis of cancer is similar to whatever disease you are reading. Okay, laboratory diagnosis of cancer, what will you do? A patient comes to you, what will you do? A patient suppose comes with a mass in the abdomen. So what will you do? You will first do a hematological routine physical examination, then do routine hemogram, complete hemogram, then you will do an X-ray, ultrasound, CT scan. Okay, then you finally you will do a biopsy, maybe a true cut, a punch biopsy, maybe an incisional, excisional. After confirmation, a surgery will be confirmed, then you can do a histopathological examination completely of the tumor, and then you'll grade it, you'll stage it, and finally you will do markers. Okay, then another question comes for your exam, tumor markers, short notes on tumor markers, or long question on tumor markers. Okay, your CEA, alpha fetoprotein, okay, then calcitonin. Okay, so many tumor markers you can write. You will not be able, it will be to write all, but you can study a few and then you can decide tumor markers. Okay, then laboratory diagnosis of cancer, I have said. So you'll do a CT scan, MRI. After doing all the primary investigation, then you can do a biopsy, histopathological examination. Then you can go for genetic studies. Like for all these genetic markers, you need genetic studies. So you can do a PCR. PCR is what? Polymerase chain reaction. You can do FISH. You can do flow cytometry. You can do next generation sequencing. So all these tests are there, which it's general for any disease. Okay, so it's general for any disease. So don't be scared when you get a question. Give the laboratory diagnosis of cancer, and don't forget to write genetics. The genetic diagnosis means what are the methods that you can diagnose cancer by genetics. So you can say PCR, you can say FISH, you can say cytogenetics. There are so many methods. Okay, so then please don't forget the clinical features of cancer. Clinical features of cancer, you remember, they will be your weight loss, cachexia, then increased BMR, all those, then you have to look at the book, and grading and staging of cancer also, and last and not the least, another short notes, long question which can come for your exam is paraneoplastic syndrome. Okay, for example, paraneoplastic syndrome is your in small cell carcinoma of lung. Okay, you get all those hyperglycemia, hypercalcemia, all those things, SIADH, all those things. So please read the paraneoplastic syndrome. So I want you collect your question papers. You try to collect question papers from your seniors, okay, and then try to solve. Not only for neoplasia, try to solve the questions, short notes, long questions. Take all the question papers and try to solve those questions. You take a register and you solve each one by one. And please, you can use flow charts, okay, to create a good impression when you write your answers. And don't write answers which are only one third of the page. You'll not get marks. Many of you write answers one third of your page. For a question of maybe 20 marks, you give only half page. It's not possible. So please try to increase the quantity also, but there should be some quality also should be there. So please give your your answers not in one third page or half page. For a 20-mark question, okay, it looks funny. So you can use flow charts, you can use diagrams, you can use what is this algorithms. So in that way, it'll make your study better. If you study also, you study in that way, it will make your studying bit easier and more systematic. Okay, so please don't log out. We will take your attendance from your logging in chart. So that is all for neoplasia. So any questions? Anybody still there? Any question? I think it's okay. So we'll log out now and we will take your attendance with your thing from this register. So have a nice day and take care. Okay.